Have you ever had a big deadline looming, felt that wave of dread wash over you, and then suddenly found yourself passionately organizing your bookshelf? Yeah, we've all been there. We call it procrastination. And right after, we usually beat ourselves up, calling ourselves lazy or undisciplined. But what if I told you that procrastination has almost nothing to do with being lazy? What if it's actually a deep-seated survival mechanism wired right into your biology? Okay, let's get into it, because we're about to completely change the way you think about why you delay.
And this quote, man, it just nails it. That sinking feeling you get when you look at a huge project, that's not you failing. That is your brain's ancient alarm system going off, telling you that this task isn't an opportunity, it's a threat, a genuine threat to your emotional state. Your brain is literally trying to protect you. The only problem is, the predator it sees is your own work.
So for the next few minutes, we're going to totally dismantle this thing I call the laziness lie. We're going to break down this cycle of delay and get to the biological truth of it all. We'll see why all the fancy planners and apps in the world don't work if they don't tackle the real problem, which is our feelings. See, this isn't a character flaw we're talking about. It's a feature of your brain's operating system that's just gone a little haywire in our modern world.
And this right here, this lays out the huge mental shift we need to make. On the left, that's the old story, the one that makes us feel bad. But on the right, that's the reality. Here's the most important part. Every time you procrastinate, you are not failing to get work done. You are actually succeeding at regulating your emotions in that moment. Your brain is just choosing the immediate relief from a bad feeling over some abstract reward way off in the future. And understanding this isn't an excuse, it's the key to finally taking back control.
So let's talk about that exact moment. The moment the battle is lost before you've even started. It's a feeling, isn't it? It's physical. It's like a fog rolls into your brain or a heavy weight lands on your chest. Well, your brain has this built-in escape hatch for these kinds of feelings. And if we can understand how it works, we can learn how to close it when we really need to.
I mean, seriously, has this happened to you? You've got a massive report due, and suddenly, the tile grout in your shower is the most fascinating and urgent project in the entire world. This is not random. It's a perfect example of what's called affective avoidance. And notice that word affective. It's all about feelings. You're not actually avoiding the work itself. You are avoiding the feeling that the work creates, that anxiety or boredom or confusion. Cleaning the bathroom is just a convenient way out.
So let's put a name on this because it's the engine driving this whole process. Affective avoidance. It's the brain's gut instinct to just get away from negative emotions. When a task makes you feel stressed or insecure, your brain's number one priority isn't finishing the task. It's stopping that bad feeling as fast as humanly possible. And what's faster than opening up a new tab or checking your phone?
And this leads to this really destructive fight inside your own head. It's called temporal discontinuity. It's like you literally split into two different people. Your now self gets exactly what it wants, that sweet, immediate hit of relief from the discomfort. But in doing that, it's basically passing on a huge debt to your future self, who's the one that has to deal with all the extra stress and panic later on. Your brain is wired for this. It's a bias called hyperbolic discounting, which just means your brain will almost always choose a small, immediate reward, like 5 minutes of scrolling, over a much larger reward in the future, like actually finishing the project.
Okay, so if this is a biological thing, what's actually happening inside our heads? Well, it all builds into this loop, something called the avoidance circuit. You can think of it like a path that gets deeper and easier to follow every single time you give in. Let's break down how that task becomes the predator and how your favorite distraction becomes the painkiller.
Okay, here are the 4 stages of that loop. It all starts with number 1, the trigger. You simply look at or even just think about the task. That leads to number 2, the amygdala hijack. Your amygdala, that's your brain's little alarm system, it just freaks out and floods you with anxiety. To make that feeling stop, you jump to step 3, the escape maneuver. You grab your phone, you go get a snack, anything to get away. And for a moment, you feel relief. But then comes the real kicker, step 4, rebound anxiety. The task is still there, only now you also feel guilty, which makes the whole negative feeling even stronger the next time around.
This slide just frames that cycle perfectly. Every single time you run from the task, the predator, and you grab your distraction, the painkiller, you're teaching your brain a very simple and very dangerous lesson, that escaping works. The little dopamine hit you get from social media reinforces the idea that running away is what makes the bad feelings stop. So you are literally training your amygdala to be more scared of that task the next time. You're feeding the predator and it just gets bigger and scarier. So at this point, you might be thinking, okay, this sounds insane. Why on earth would my brain be designed to do this? Why would I have a system that sabotages my own success? And that is exactly the right question. The answer is that this system wasn't designed for your career or your taxes. It was designed for a much, much older world.
It all comes down to this one principle: mood repair primacy. For pretty much all of human history, if you felt a bad emotion, like fear or stress, it usually meant there was an immediate physical threat. You know, a predator was nearby, or you were out of food. So your brain evolved to do one thing above everything else: fix the bad mood right now. Because fixing that bad mood meant you survived. There was no such thing as a 5-year plan on the savannah. Now was all that mattered.
And this really shows our modern problem perfectly. We're all dealing with what you could call evolutionary lag. We're running ancient survivalist hardware, but with modern, abstract software. Your brain doesn't know the difference between the anxiety you feel from a deadline and the anxiety you'd feel from a saber-toothed tiger. It sees both as a threat, and it just defaults to its oldest, most reliable program: run, hide, and find comfort. Your brain isn't trying to make you fail, it's trying to keep you safe.
Okay, so we get the problem. It's not about being weak, it's about brain chemistry. So how in the world do we fix it? Well, we can't just bully our brain into submission. We have to work with our biology, not fight against it. We need some real, practical strategies to gently override this avoidance circuit and put our conscious mind back in the driver's seat.
So here it is, your toolkit. And these are not just cute productivity hacks. These are neurological interventions. They're designed to calm down that panicked part of your brain, the amygdala, and bring the logical thinking part of your brain back online. We're going to quickly walk through each of these.
Okay, this first one is going to sound way too simple to actually work, but trust me on this, it's called affective labeling. The next time you feel that urge to run away from your work, I want you to just pause and just say what you're feeling, out loud if you can. I am feeling overwhelmed by this report, or I am feeling really bored by this. Brain scans actually show that this simple act of naming the emotion lowers the activity in your amygdala. It's like you're turning the lights on in a dark room. You go from being controlled by the feeling to just observing it.
All right, next up, the 5-minute initiation rule. This one is your secret weapon against your brain's threat alarm. See, the problem usually isn't the work itself, it's the idea of all the work. The thought of writing the entire paper is huge and terrifying. So you make a deal with your brain. You say, look, we're not doing the whole thing, we're just gonna work on it for 5 minutes. That's it. 5 minutes is so small, so non-threatening that it doesn't set off the alarm. Literally anyone can do anything for 5 minutes. The goal here is not to finish. The goal is just to start.
And this builds right on that last idea. It's called next action specificity. Our brains tend to freeze up when they see vague things like work on presentation on a to-do list. That vagueness feels like a threat. So you have to break it down into the smallest possible physical next step. Don't write paper on your list. Write, open Word doc and type one sentence. When you make the task that tiny and concrete, you completely bypass the brain's alarm system. You make it too small to be scary. So as we start to wrap this all up, the real change here is a pretty profound shift in how we think about work. We spend so much of our lives just waiting, right? Waiting to feel motivated, waiting to feel ready, waiting for the perfect mood to strike before we do the important stuff. But what all of this neuroscience is telling us is that we have it completely backward. And this right here, this might be the single most important takeaway from our entire explainer. Just let this one sink in. Motivation is not something you need before you act. Motivation is the result of action. That good feeling of accomplishment, of progress, of momentum that comes after you start. Usually after you push through those first 5 really difficult minutes. The good feeling you're waiting for is on the other side of just getting started.
So the next time you feel that pull, that urge to put something off, just remember what's going on under the hood. Don't try to force your way through a feeling your brain thinks is a real danger. Instead, just acknowledge it. Shrink the task down to something laughably small and just take that one first physical step. Don't wait for motivation. Build momentum. One tiny action at a time.